Hello everyone, my name is Stanley and today we'll be discussing block and inline elements. It is important to note that in HTML all elements have a default display value depending on the type of element. HTML elements can be displayed in either of two ways, block and inline. Now, first I have my Visual Studio Code open here and I'll be creating a file. First of all, I can open a folder. I'll be creating a file. Just call it any name you want. I'll call mine block.html. Yep, our file is open. Remember to include your doc type, then the doc abbreviation. Sorry for that. So first we'll be discussing the block level elements. Elements that displayed in block form always start on a new line. Take note, always start on a new line and take up the entire width of the viewport. We saw that in the previous lecture where we wrote a P element and we saw it stretch all through the viewport to the extent which to the extent of code we wrote in it. So we'll be introducing a new and very important tag called the division element. So the division element is created using the division tag as follows. Simply type div, enter. So we have created a division element. It is important to note that the division element acts as a container that contains or houses different elements. In subsequent videos when we'll start working with CSS, Bootstrap and JavaScript, we'll see the importance of the div element and how it helps us to contain elements in a block. But now what we'll be doing here is show you how the div works. So this is it. So what we'll be doing here is we are going to use CSS to show the boundaries or how the div container looks. Do not bother yourself about the CSS, just type in the following code. Now save your code and view it in your browser as described in the previous videos. So what we can see here is this is a div element. So we have the two div elements that we created and then a horizontal rule. So here we have the entire div container. If you try to resize this, what do you see? The div keeps on adjusting its size based on the size of the viewport. At every point in time, the size of the viewport is the size of the div. Though we can adjust the size of this div using CSS, but that is not what we are going to cover in this course. Next, I'll be introducing other block level elements like the address element. So we have the address element. The address element is used to impute address in a web page. So, sorry. I'll copy a sample web address from here. Yes. Now I want you to see what is, oh sorry, we didn't put this in the right place. Let's copy this, we put it in the head tag. It's not supposed to be there. So let's put it in here. Introduce a thematic break and then put it here. Save the file and you'll see how the web browser renders the address element. So let's view. Here we have number 9 Abraham Adeniyi Street, but notice that it is now in italics and no longer regular. But notice that the web browser does not render it the way we imputed it in the code. So to correct this, we use the pre tab. So to do this, we just copy all this, type in our pre tag, put everything in here and save. View the file. So you can see that it has been nicely formatted with another font. So this is how the block level element address works. The next we'll be addressing is the block quote element. So let's go back to our Studio Code editor. Here we are, but first let me show you how to create comments in HTML. Simply type the following code. Let's just type something here. This block level. So like I said, the next block level element we'll be discussing is the block quotes. So here we have our block quotes written in here. Sometimes you want to make a long quote of what someone else has said, or cite a block of text from a resource somewhere. It's important that you use the block quote element to represent the content that is quoted from another source. And you can also put the citation using the citation attribute or the footer. So let's see how that works. So let's put the cite attribute here. You can see www, well, you can still use www.w3cschools.com, and you can put in some gibberish here using lorem. Let's format our document. So we have this. You can add another one here, format, so it looks all nice. And then we can add a footer here. Okay, save this file. Don't forget to put a thematic break here so that things look nice and not messy. Save, and let's view on our browser. So you can see what we have here is a block text. You can see that there is some form of indentation by the left, indentation by the right. So this is a quote that we have put here. Here we have the footer. Notice that the browser does not show the site. Now this citation we use here is important for readers and search engines, so that they can be able to know that this content was cited from somewhere else. So let's now look at inline text. So I'll be putting my comment here. An example of an inline element is the form element. We have created a section dedicated for this, but then let's just introduce it here for the purpose of this lecture. We won't be talking much about this, just see how it works. We have H3. To make this video shorter, I will just have to copy some code from somewhere I've written before. So yes, we have our form. Let's save the file and view in our browser. So here we have a form. This is the beginning of a form. We can add more information to this by duplicating this here, this input field. We'll come to this in later videos. Save, view. So this is how the form looks. Okay, so the next inline element that we will be using here is the paragraph element. At the same time, I'll be showing you other smaller elements that can be used with the paragraph element. There's a reason it is called inline. Notice that in every inline element, it doesn't start from the beginning, so we can embed a form in a paragraph text or in any other tag. So inline elements do not start from a new line, and they take up the available space or as much space as is necessary. You can look up further examples of inline text, inline elements, like let's look at what should we do now? Your image element. Here you define the source of the image file. It can be anywhere. Let's look for a file. Oh, sorry, we'll have to download one, but then let's just skip that. You can put an image file here. We have a special section dedicated for that. We have another tag, the button element. These elements are all inline elements and do not start on a new line. This is where we'll draw the curtains for this course. In the subsequent videos, we'll take time to explain further how this works.